Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, my name is Lailatul Maghfiroh and today I would like to present about my thesis proposal seminar entitled The Use of Code Switching in Riana, Mimpi, Sejuta, Dolar movie. Before that, I would like to say thanks to my advisors, Mem Umiati Jawas PhD and Mem Siti Mafula MPD, and to all my dearest friends who are now watching this video. Okay, let's go into the chapter 1, which cover background of the study, problem of the study, objective of the study, scope and limitation, significance of the study, and definition of key terms. Background of the study. Communication is not only the essence of human being, but also a vital property of life. That is why in many communities, there are a lot of people that are able to communicate using more than one language. This phenomenon is known as bilingual or multilingual. Bilingual or multilingual people tend to switch their languages in the middle of their conversation. This is known as code switching. When they are talking to monolingual people, they will speak in one language, but they will speak in two languages when they are talking to bilinguals. Therefore, code switching appears when they are talking to bilinguals. According to Hoffman in 1996, code switching is the alternate use of two or more languages or linguistic varieties within the same utterance or during the same conversation. According to Mukti and Muljani in 2016, code switching happens when the speaker shifts from one language to another language, whether it is only one word, utterance, and even one sentence. According to Ahmad and Yusuf in 2009, they have agreed that code switching can be a useful tool in assisting language teaching and learning process. And code switching should be allowed whenever necessary with some learners in specific situations. Hammers and Blank in 2002 theories that code switching as a phenomenon that sentences of different languages appearing in a newly inserting composition must come from syntax and morphology of the original language. Code switching is not only referring to switching in different languages, but also change from one dialect to another of the same language, or free style to formal style. There are three types of code switching by Hammers and Blank in 2002. The first is intersentential code switching. Intersentential code switching may happen when the speaker speaks a clause in one language and then uses another clause in different language. Intersentential switching is a switch at clause or sentence boundary. Usually, the speakers or the addressee in this situation is fluent in using both languages, or at least the addressee understand well what the speaker says. And the second is intrasentential code switching. Intrasentential code switching occurs within the clause boundary, including the word boundary. In intrasentential code switching, both the speakers do not have to be a bilingual. It is only inserting a single common word or phrase in different language that people usually know. And the last is extrasentential or tag switching. Extrasentential or tag switching is a switch where the speaker inserts a tag from one language into an utterance which is entirely in another language. Usually, this kind of code switching often occurs in live conversation. There are 5 previous studies in this research The first is study by Winnie in 1996 entitled An Analysis of Code Switching in the Novel Nine Summers, 10 Autumn. And the result of this study is the dominant type found is intersentential switching. And the function of code switching, message qualification, is dominantly found in relation to the personal sense of the novel. And the second is by Novianti et al. In 2013, entitled The Use of Code Switching in Twitter, a Case Study in English Education Department. And the result of this study conclude that the most frequent type of code switching used in the selected tweets is intrasentential switching. They prefer to do code switching to develop and apply their skill, especially in English. And the third study by Ahmad and Yusuf in 2009 entitled Teachers Code Switching in Classroom Instruction for Low English Proficient Learners. And the result of this study indicate that the learners have a positive perception of teachers code switching in the ELT classroom. The fourth study is by Fahria in 2017 entitled The Function of Code Switching in an English Language Classroom. And the result of this study is the use of code switching in the language instruction has multiple functions that support on effective learning process. And the last study is by Geman in 2016 entitled Study of Code Switching in the Movie I'm Not Stupid Too. And the result of this study are distinguishes two types of code switching, which are situational switching and metaphorical switching. And the major function of code switching in this movie are fatigue function, expressive function, directive function, and referential function. The most similar research belongs to Geman, who also analyzed code switching in a movie, but he investigated code switching based on Blum and Gamper's theory. The similarities of this previous study and this study is that they have the same purpose to find out the types of code switching. Then the difference from these previous studies is there is no researcher that proposed to analyze three types of code switching like what the researcher do in this research. The writer can assume that code switching is worth analyzing because it is a phenomenon that influences many of our communities today, and it is important to know more about the type of code switching and the reason of using it. Problem of the study. There are two problems of the study. A. What are the types of code switching in Mary Riana Mimpi Sejuta Dolar movie? And B. What are the reasons for using code switching in Mary Riana Mimpi Sejuta Dolar movie? Objective of the study. Based on problem of the study, there are two objectives of the study, which are to identify the types of code switching used in Mary Riana Mimpi Sejuta Dolar movie and to describe the reasons of using code switching in Mary Riana Mimpi Sejuta Dolar movie. Scope and limitation. This study is limited on code switching used by the main characters in Mary Riana Mimpi Sejuta Dolar movie and the effect towards the main characters. The data was taken from utterance produced by the main characters. Significance of the study. Theoretically, the result of the study is intended to enrich the knowledge and to give broader understanding about film, especially code switching in Mary Riana Mimpi Sejuta Dolar movie. Practically, the result of this study would be useful to the lecturer, students, and the readers. And the last is definition of key terms. The first is code switching. Code switching is a manner or form of communication that is common in a bilingual or multilingual society using a number of different languages. By contrast, in the process of bilingual education, code switching is more managerial. For instance, in the learning process, switching of code acts more as a tool to manage and facilitate interaction and learning. The second is movie. Movie is a story captured in a set of celluloid strips or film, which are shown on a screen with certain speed to give the impression of moving. Lately, a lot of movie makers have been shooting their movies digitally, but the main characteristic of movie remains the same. A movie or a film is a motion picture. And the last is Riana, Mimpi, Sejuta, Dolar. Riana, Mimpi, Sejuta, Dolar is a 2014 Indonesian comedy drama to welcome Christmas in 2040 and New Year's Eve in 2015. This movie, inspired from Indonesian woman who gained her first $1 million in Singapore. She is Riana. Okay, let's go into the chapter 2, which cover research design, research object, data collection, research instrument, data analysis, and triangulation. Research design. Research design is used in research to refer to researchers' plan how to process the research. There are two types of research design. The first is qualitative research and the second is quantitative research. And the design of this research is qualitative. According to Creswell in 2009, qualitative research is a means for exploring and understanding the meaning individuals or groups ascribe to a social or human problem. Data are typically collected in the participant setting. The final written report has a flexible structure. The qualitative research has special characteristics. The data are in the form of word and the data are analyzed inductively. Meanwhile, the research procedure that the researcher uses is descriptive analysis. Descriptive analysis is data simplification. Descriptive analysis can stand on its own as a research product, such as when it identifies phenomena or patterns in data that have not previously been recognized. Research object. The object of this study is the linguistic aspect of the movie, and the linguistic aspect is code switching. The researcher focuses on analyzing conversation among the characters who employ code switching and find the types of code switching. Data collection. A variety of collecting data techniques is used by a qualitative research to answer the research question. Then the data are collected by following steps. The first is downloading the movie, watching the movie, rechecking the dialogue, listing code switching, and the last is transferring the data. Research instrument. For collecting the data, the main instrument is the researcher itself. And for analyzing data, the researcher will note the data which are related to the objective of the study. Then the data will be written in a table or datasheet. The table or datasheet is used to help the researcher in process of collection, identification, and analysis the data. This table is the example of analyzing the data. Data analysis. The researcher employs a referential method in which the data are analyzed based on the theory. The researcher used some steps. The first is identifying the words that are considered as code switching found in the dialogue. The second is classifying the types of code switching based on hammers and blank theory. The third is describing and interpreting the context in which code switching occurred in order to answer the research question. The fourth is consulting the data to the consultants to support the data analysis. And the last is drawing a conclusion of the analysis. Data validation. Validation is referred to a single data item without any explicit mention to the verification of consistency among different data items. Data validator. The researcher used data validator. She is an English lecturer, Ma'am Maria Purnawati, SS MPD. The purpose is to avoid mistakes in the result of the study and to make sure our data are valid before drawing the conclusion of our study. Okay, that's all my presentation. I'm so sorry if I have many mistakes, and if you have question, comment, or suggestion, please write down in comment column. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.